Thanks for listening to the Grow Your Life podcast. My name's Jeremiah Krakowski, and on this podcast, we talk about ways for you to grow in your life and your business. If you haven't yet, check out the hashtag Grow Your Life Facebook community with people just like yourself that are listening to this podcast, growing in their life and their business to get questions answered and to grow further from these lessons. Today, we want to talk about getting unstuck. When you know what you should do in your business, but you find yourself procrastinating, putting things off, and being stuck. You have a plan, you got the strategy, you know what needs to be done, but you are stuck at a brick wall of taking action and doing anything. And this is something that I've experienced in my life, and I found a way to break free from that. And so what I want to do is pass that on to you, what has worked. And what I'll notice is that usually I'll have a pattern where I'm telling myself for some reason or another, I can't do XYZ that I want to do until I get all of this other stuff done. It could be I can't create this course until I do all of this stuff. I can't record a podcast episode until I do all this stuff. I can't make content on my social media until I do all this stuff. I can't go have fun until I do all of this stuff. And that was a pattern for me growing up in my life. And what I did was I trained myself to reward myself with what I wanted to do once I got things done. But this actually works against us when we are in business and as business owners ourselves, because we're prioritizing not getting in trouble, not making mistakes, not doing all the right things perfectly over taking massive action. And so we have to embrace taking imperfect action. We have to embrace taking action without having all the pieces together. Rather, we take action with a plan, with a vision in mind, but we do not have every single little thing lined up for us to know how it's going to turn out. If you're waiting until all the things are lined up for you to get started doing something, you're going to keep waiting, and this is what leads to that. And we're trying to avoid failure. We're trying to avoid making mistakes. We're trying to avoid getting in trouble and protecting ourselves by defense rather than offense. You see, there's a difference. If we're protecting ourselves by, okay, I'm never going to do XYZ until XYZ is done so I can guarantee that I don't make XYZ mistake, you will probably be stuck procrastinating, putting things off, because you're going to keep, it's like trudging through mud to get any actions done. You're trying to get you become a slave to your to-do list, basically, where you don't feel good enough. You don't have a motivation to keep moving forward until all the things are done. And this is because then we feel like, okay, at least I did all of that, so now I've earned the right to where I can go do the things that I want to do. And this works against us. You see, when we're in an employee environment, when we have a boss that's telling us, okay, you need to do this every single day, we know we stay on track because we have that. But when we're our own business owners, we don't have that. And so what we're doing is we are prioritizing not repeating the mistakes of the past more than creating the future. We're making it our priority to not experience what happened last time that we took action and made a mistake, more than creating the future from the wisdom that came from that experience. We're so focused on making sure that it goes perfectly and that we make no mistakes that we don't do anything, that we get stuck in inaction, that we get stuck in the pre-action stage because we're waiting until we see the horizon looks perfect before jumping. This is a recipe for disaster as a business owner. This is a recipe for failure because the perfect day, the perfect moment, the perfect minute, the perfect scenario to do the very things that we need to do is never going to get here. And so what we have to do is we have to make our goals and our mission bigger than just not getting in trouble. I'm not saying intentionally try to do things to get us in trouble, by the way. I'm saying that when we are so focused on avoiding hitting the barriers, let's say that you're driving on a highway, this example, okay? You have two options. You can either pay so attention to the other cars and the walls on the side of you. Let's say you're driving, right? And there's cars going past you and there's walls going around you. There's walls. You know that if you're paying so much attention to the other cars and the walls and not the road in front of you, you are probably more likely to hit a wall or a car. And we learn this in driver's ed. But when we say and pay attention to the road ahead of us and we check our mirrors as we go, our secondary priority is those things around us. The first one is staying ahead, and that's exactly what it is in taking perfect action. So we just have to reverse the priorities of not making mistakes, not getting in trouble, not doing all the wrong things, not failing needs to come secondary to taking action. Many times we're stuck not moving forward. We're stuck not doing what we should because our priorities are mixed up, where not doing the wrong thing, not making a mistake, not doing it the wrong way is so much bigger and more important to us than even doing anything. And so we will always accomplish that goal. You might be saying, well, how am I accomplishing it? You are ultra successful at not failing, not making a mistake, and not getting in trouble when you do nothing. You are succeeding at those things. Because if you do nothing, there's no chance that that will ever happen. And so this is where we have to look back, and oftentimes, sometimes it is experiences in our past, could be childhood, could be work experiences, could be any of those things where we made a mistake, we failed, we got in trouble, we did something, and it didn't go out how we saw it. And so we made a decision that next time something like this happens like that, I'm going to never make sure to repeat that past pattern again. And that becomes our brick wall of taking action. So we know what we should do, but we haven't expressed the emotion. We haven't come face to face with and made peace with that past. And so our fear of pain, our fear of punishment, our fear of losing everything causes us to misappropriate our choices and decisions. Do you ever feel like as well, okay, I have to rush and get everything done as quick as possible, or I can't do it at all because we're afraid that it's all going to get taken away from us? We're all going to lose out on it. This was another one that I was experiencing myself. And this all tied back to unexpressed anger that I had about childhood experiences, things that when things were taken away from me that when I didn't finish them in enough time, I wasn't allowing myself to feel that because it wasn't safe to when I was younger. And so as an adult, I carried that into adulthood. And any time that I had to do something, I was constantly rushing to get it all done and not letting the process unfold because I didn't want to lose everything like what had happened to me when I was younger. We repeat these patterns. It could be something that happened 6 months ago. Had this happen, we become fearful to trust people because when we did, they screwed us over in the past. And so we're afraid to let anybody in. And so we have to express that, let that out, let it out to go. Because when we don't, we carry it into our present reality and it's going to get expressed somehow. We're going to get angry, whether it's critical at ourselves or other people, and explode these emotions that are unexpressed and let go. So when I say express and let go, it means acknowledge it, acknowledge that happened, acknowledge the feeling, and then say, you know what, I'm going to let it go. I forgive myself. I forgive these other, whether it's other people maybe, and we allow forgiveness to come in. We release it. We release the energy. And then when we step into our present experience of whatever it is that we need to do, could be somebody laughed at you when you were younger. Somebody laughed at you recently when you didn't do everything perfectly. Maybe you lost a whole bunch of money in a business. Maybe you built a business and got kicked out of it. Maybe you built a business and didn't do all the right things. And so you've said, this time, I'm now not going to make those mistakes. I'm going to do it all perfectly. And so then we're stuck doing inaction. We're stuck in that cycle, that loop of inaction, because we've prioritized not experiencing the pain of our past over doing the very thing that we should. And so this is where we have to acknowledge that. This can come across by journaling, writing things down. You could, record videos that you never share with anybody, just expressing it in some way. I do it by praying. I pray and I just say, God, this situation, bring peace and healing in my life in this situation. I trust you. I release it to you, and I give it to God. I give it up to a higher power that's stronger than me to handle it. And for me, it goes away forever when I do that. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. I release that energy and say, you know what? I don't need to figure this out. I trust you to direct my footsteps in this moment. And so if you're somebody that's in a business and you find that you're stuck in inaction, you're stuck not doing what you should, this is where we need to look at those things. This is where, as well, sometimes we need help from somebody else. Could be a therapist, could be a coach, somebody to help point out these patterns to us, to help us find the breakthrough that we're not seeing ourselves. And a lot of people ask, well, how does this affect business? How does mindset affect business? This is exactly how it does. Is if you have a mindset to where you can't take action unless everything's perfect because you're trying to avoid making mistakes, it's literally going to keep you in a loop of never doing the things that you should. And many of you, if you're listening to this right now, you've been in that loop for a long time, where you know what you need to do. You know what the plans are that you have to do, but you're still stuck in that, I can't let what happened last time happen. We're so stuck in, I can't allow the worst case scenario to happen, so I would rather do nothing than that happening, because we're believing something about the potential. We're believing something about that usually comes from that past experience. I've not seen a single instance where this kind of stuck not doing something is not connected to a past experience like that, unless it's like some kind of a criminal activity. Okay. we'll just add that one in there. Just don't do those things. Because that's a whole other level of conversation. There's a reason that you're not wanting to do something that's going to get you legally in trouble, and it's a good reason. But if it's not illegal, if it's not something that it's more just a pattern that you had an experience in the past, we can make peace with that and realize, listen, now is not yesterday. Today is not what happened before. I've learned so much since then. I can release that pattern. I can let it go, and I can step into the confidence, knowing this is where confidence comes from, true confidence, to take courageous action. We know that, listen, I can't control how everything is going to happen. I can't control other people. But what I can control is my own choices and decisions to keep moving forward. And now, once we break through this, there's still going to be a little bit of a level where you're going to be a little stuck. But this is going to become a lot easier. This is where then we can develop discipline. Oftentimes I hear people talking about developing discipline, focus, and consistency before they've worked through what we just talked about. And that's very, very, very difficult. I found it almost impossible for me. And so that's why I had to work through those things. And then discipline comes in. Then I can discipline myself to say, okay, today, got to get up, got to do something I don't want to do today, because I know that it's going to keep the needle moving forward. And so we can develop that in ourselves. But when we're so afraid of all of these bad things happening, no level of discipline is really going to get us to break through from that. So that's why we have to make peace with that, and then we can start to develop that discipline and focus. And it just comes down to, I was experiencing it right before this podcast episode, in fact, where I just realized, you know what, I got a lot of stuff to do, got a lot of different things to do. Day's not going exactly how I wanted it to, but you know what, I have to record this. So I'm going to sit at my computer, I'm going to press the record button and discipline myself to go through the motions. I actually started the recording 3 different times because it wasn't starting out the way I wanted it to. And so, but I gave myself that grace. I gave myself that ability. I failed 3 times on this podcast recording. It took me about 5 minutes. That's it. And kept moving forward. And so set up your framework that allows you that grace. If you have a coach, if you have a mentor, somebody that is helping guide you along the process, this helps you avoid the mistakes along the way. If you have somebody that's been there and done that to get results in building a business, and if you're looking for somebody like that, I'd love to do that with you and work with you. I've helped hundreds of business owners grow and get to 6 and 7 figures and even 8 figures in their businesses by applying this stuff. And then what do they do with their messaging, their marketing, their copywriting? What works to get sales and results in a business for them that will grow and be sustainable and last the long haul? And so if you're looking for that, I'd love to do that. I'd love to work with you. You can schedule a free 15-minute call with me on my website where we can talk about what you're going through, what you're experiencing, what your goals are, what your sticking points are, and come up with a plan for you to get to the next level. Okay? And so, listen, if you're somebody that is trying to build a business and reach your potential, reach the next goal, we have to work on this. We can't allow getting stuck to be the reason why we can't move forward year after year after year after year. But give yourself some grace to embrace this process. It might not work out as quickly as you think it would. You might not get this as quickly as you see other people. This is where we need to stop comparing ourselves amongst ourselves and give ourselves, again, the ability to not have to do everything perfectly, to learn. We open ourselves up to learning what we don't know. We can establish and develop our own unique success framework that helps us succeed and grow to the next level. So, grow your life, everybody. Listen, if you haven't yet, schedule that 15-minute call with me on my website. And if you haven't as well, that's a 15-minute call, but I also offer a 30-minute call for people that leave hashtag grow your life on my Instagram. If you leave hashtag grow your life in the comments on a post on my Instagram each week, I find the people that do that and I pick a person to hop on the phone with me for 30 minutes. We do more of a deeper dive of coaching for free. My normal coaching rate is $400 an hour right now. And so for you, this is like a $200 value doing that. Sometimes as well, I might offer, you might get a free course or something as well. Let's say that you've won it a couple times. I might give you a free course too. Something new, something of new value to give you. And so I believe in you. I know that you can break through this level. This stuff works if you stick with it. We have to be willing to embrace and come face to face with what we're experiencing to grow to the next level and see changes in our life. So grow your life, everybody. Look forward to talking to you. We'll talk soon.